People talk about negotiations and how you negotiate this and that. And the very first fundamental thing about negotiations is to understand the concept of need, okay? And so if you have high need, then you have what? High need means that you have something much less. You have low power. If you need something and you're in negotiations, you're willing to give things away. But if you have no need for this to go one way or the other, then you're always going to be in a position of power. And what I looked at is a long time ago when Buckminster Fuller was teaching up at Kirkwood Meadows, I had a guy I paid to basically record. Now, this is a long time ago. These are real to real recordings. And I paid him to do this. And then Bucky was talking about this thing called integrity and how it was the essence of everything successful. And it was extremely powerful. And I was thinking, God, I really didn't get all of this. I want to make sure I listen to it later. And I look over, and the guy who I had paid to do this, he was basically in the same emotional state I was. And the reel to reel had ended, and the thing was going. So none of that on integrity got recorded. And, just really, I was just really upset. And I'm afterwards, I walked Bucky back to his place he was staying in at Kirkwood, and you could tell I was upset. And I said, "Ah, man," I said, "I did." He said, "What's the matter?" I said, "Well, I didn't get that on tape." And he goes, "No matter." I says, "What do you mean, no matter? I mean, here you are. You're like Copernicus. I want to get everything on tape. We didn't get it done." Ah. And he said, "It doesn't matter. It's okay." And I said, he says, "God doesn't make mistakes." And I said, "Look, I know God doesn't make mistakes. I made a mistake. I hired this kid and he didn't do it and he let this go and I didn't get it and I'm blah, blah, blah." And he goes, and this is one of the very few times Bucky ever got really upset with me. And he looked at me, he said, "Marshall, you didn't create this universe and you are not running it. And so this is perfect." And I said, "What? I know I didn't create the universe and I know I'm not running it, but how does that make this perfect?" And he says, "Everything is perfect. You just have to see the gift in it." And so what I looked at was, if everything is perfect, how could it be perfect? This kid didn't get what I wanted. So what I realized, that we had in 2 weeks another program called The Future of Business with Bucky for a whole week. And I never wanted to see that happen. And so we got together with the team from Brooklyn and raised enough money, and we all agreed that we were going to do a 2-camera shoot of Buckminster Fuller for the entire week that he was there at Kirkwood Meadows. And what we ended up doing is a 2-camera shoot, and it is now seen as the most comprehensive thing that ever by Buckminster Fuller. Noticed we had a week's long of Bucky stuff, and every day he spoke and never repeated himself and explained the universe to everybody. It was extremely powerful. Now, had this kid not done that, I would never have had the gift of everything is perfect. And so when I realized, when you start to talk about the world, everything is perfect, even if I don't understand it yet. See, that changes the whole thing. What happens if everything's perfect? Then what happens to your need to have it turn out the way you want it to turn out, or are you willing to take whatever comes out as the perfect answer? So what happens in negotiations now is everything is perfect. All I have to do is go into the negotiations, make my case, present what I have, and then watch for what happens. Now, there's all kinds of things you want to do, and the way you do it was what I call stable datum and everything else. And there are a lot of ways to look at body language and doing all that. I'm not saying you don't do those skills, but the outcome really is not my outcome. I didn't create the universe and I'm not running it. And therefore, I have to look at the answer of whatever it is as perfect. This then takes me out of this concept of need into everything's perfect. And therefore, I'm always in very high power because I don't have any need. I only can do is what I think is best. present it as best I can, give it my best shot, and then wait for the outcome. And whatever that outcome is, it's going to be perfect, and it's going to lead me to where I'm supposed to go next. So when you're in negotiations, if you can understand, you've still got to get prepared. You've still got to understand the value of what the client wants, and you understand how it's going to work and how to be interested in that other person. All that stuff has to go into it. Don't get me wrong. But if the answer is the opposite of what feels right, I understand everything is perfect, even if at the moment it doesn't seem like it. So that takes me out of any concept of need or high need, and therefore my power is always very, very high. I learned from Bucky a long time ago that the bigger the picture, the more accurate your prediction. There's nothing in a caterpillar, if you just study a caterpillar, will ever tell you about scenario butterfly. So my entire life, I am working as much as I can to be a comprehensivist. That's interested in everything, so I can make better choices, better decisions, and have a better perspective. What can I do for you?